Hey everyone, welcome back to more Flesh and Bad, and today I wanted to continue practicing some other decks other than Zen in the eventuality that he LLs. So today we're going to be playing some Ira. So Ira is definitely a little bit like Zen at home, not quite as like fun or like high rolly as Zen is. I think that she's got like a lot more simpler game plan, but if I'm picking up a deck, I guess like other than Zen, because I've basically been Zen one tricking up until this point, I think Ira might be actually like a pretty real contender. So I feel like this deck does kind of make you flex your fundamentals pretty strongly. I also like this is kind of a little bit of a tangent, but I also did pretty well in the commoner version of Ira, getting ninth place in a Battle Harden, which was pretty cool. So I feel like Ira is maybe a hero that just kind of is good for like flexing your fundamentals a little bit, which is maybe like a good hero to kind of rely on in the case that I don't get to have like a lot of practice on it, like maybe just a week or so. So this is the deck I want to run today, and this is kind of a list that I kind of mashed together. So what I did was I basically kind of took a lot of the kind of core cards that I was seeing and like the core ratios. So I think a lot of these blues I think I copied over from someone else's list, and then I basically added in cards that I thought were good. So I want to talk about some of the cards that I specifically added. So cut through I think is pretty decent in Ira, especially in some matchups, just being like a 0 for 4, 0 for 5, very solid. And I also wanted to add Sigil of Solace. So I don't see a lot of Iras running this lately. Maybe there's a reason why. But Sigil of Solace is really cool because what it allows you to do is basically with Mask of Momentum, right? If you're like holding like a Sigil, an Arsenal or something, right? And then you do like 1, 2, 5 or whatever, and you have an Arsenal already, right? Your opponent's probably not incentivized to like really try very hard to like block out the Mask of Momentum trigger there. So what we can do is like if we have Sigil and Arsenal, basically like trade our Sigil for a card because they're basically baited into not blocking it, right? So that's kind of like the idea of Sigil. I think it's also just like a decent card for like if we get disrupted from Arsenal or whatever. Like I think Sigil does have a lot of utility, and I think it's just a very solid like mid-range card, which is kind of what Ira wants to be doing anyways. We're not playing CYB in this list because I think that's a little excessive, but like a one card kind of commitment, like Sigil does seem like pretty solid. And yeah, for the board, we also just have a very heavy kind of like D-React package. So we got like, this might even be too many reacts. This is like, how many reacts is this? Like 12 reacts? It's like, it's probably a little bit excessive, but we do have like the wax on, wax off stuff. With the goal to kind of maybe combo with Sounding Alarm, which is just like a generically good effect in this deck, but also like probably solid into Assassins as well. And then we also have some of our kind of like big poppers and also kind of like tech cards. So we have like Weakest Link and Race Face. I think the way that I see a lot of people kind of sideboard with this deck is basically just like bring in your 60 best cards and kind of hope for the best. That's kind of what we're playing again. I do feel like I want maybe a couple more go against sources. Like some of these reacts might turn into like Bittering Thorns or something. Like maybe even these shelters do turn into Bittering Thorns. But I think I'm kind of happy with like this current configuration. It's definitely kind of just a thing that I might tweak over the coming days if I end up deciding to want to play this deck. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and give it a shot today. And also, I brought in Quick Dodge Flexors, which I don't know if it's good, but the theory behind it might be interesting. Like into Aurora, for instance, like maybe we do go for like Quick Dodge on like a big turn, and then like just go no AB and just hope they don't have like these sigil suffering or whatever. Yeah, so that's going to be the deck for today. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. All right, so we got a Dio. I guess we're going first in a Dio. And then what do we want to bring in? It's probably fine to just leave the pouncing paws. Just like quick dodge seems really good in a Dio until they hit you with like a T-bone. So I'm not like a super big fan of quick dodge. And I guess we'll just bring in like max reacts here, probably. Race base also quite solid. Probably bring that in as well. What can we afford to cut here? Probably like the cut throughs and looking for scraps are probably not super necessary. Scar for Scar also seems maybe looking for scraps are a little bit better than the scars, just because they start out a lower life total. And the rest of this seems like pretty all right. Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and run it, see how it goes. All right, starting out, we have Kadachi, E-Strike into Erase Face. Could also save the Erase Face for a future turn and just go Censor. I mean, we'll basically like force cards either way. So let's go ahead and start with Kadachi. All right, we have to E-Strike, right? So I guess we bottom. Maybe we don't even go for Censor then. Maybe we do Kadachi plus E-Strike or something. Could also just try to resolve Censor. I think that like it's super likely they block Censor anyway, so maybe we just go for the extra power. Try to leak a little bit of damage here, makes sense. All right, 2 throttles out of the way seems pretty good to me. It looks like they're also fat decking here. We'll go ahead and save the erase face for, I think, a future turn is the idea. And this might be a pretty decent dual threat turn. We do Kadachi, pop pause, assuming we block with it. And then break chain, dual threat, Kadachi, erase face. All right, interesting. Let's see what they name here. All right, naming, or I guess they name now. They name like a pouncing key, obviously that sucks, but like should be fine here. Race face would also be like a pretty good name. Oh, they are gonna choose a race face. Okay, that's actually really good for them. Yep. So expedite coming in. What do we want to block? So that does definitely put a little bit of a damper in our plans, but it's kind of fine because we just saved the erase face anyways. So I guess we maybe just block with like dual threat. Just try to soak up some damage because it's pretty likely they just like pass here. All right, gun is fine. I feel like I maybe want to hold on to this wax on. Maybe just do Kadachi, and don't even bother with the bouncing key. Yeah, seems fine. We'll lose out on like a damage, but I think it's okay. And on optical monocle as well. Very interesting. It's a card I don't think I've seen in deal lists in a while. But yeah, unfortunately here we're not going to be able to play out our race face, which is a little bit unfortunate. So definitely like a really good name on the null time zone. It looks like that Talshar thing from yesterday is still in effect, so good to know. All right, we'll go ahead and just pass back. I don't know if that's intended. Never really found out. Right, this hand's like pretty mid, so we're probably just going to try to block out this boom grenade. I think we'll just go ahead and like go for a full block out this turn, give up the tempo a little bit. It's pretty bad if they do go for the spark here, but at least we can like send CNC and pressure them off Tunic. They are going to go for Cerebellum. I think we're still just trying to block out this turn ideally. All right, pitching max V to get 2 resources. Sure. Coming in with the throttle. All right, well, we're very incentivized to just try to block this out, so I think we will. Don't think there's a super huge reason to think about it. Not taking 4 off boom grenade seems pretty good, and we're also, getting them closer to potential fatigue win con. They draw 0 cost off the top, it obviously kind of sucks, but not much to do. Go ahead and just let the null time zone die, pass back. Then maybe try to keep a blue plus a race face next turn. Could be pretty decent. The next turn will probably be pretty scary, but at least the boom grenade's going away. So we do have that going for us. They haven't used their monocle yet, too, which is also very interesting. All right, put down Technocore. Maybe makes sense if they have a very clunky hand. All right, our hand's also kind of a little bit awkward. So we might be getting max speed here, depending. Kind of feels a little bit like a max speed turn if they're going for twin drive, but they could also just have the twin drive naturally. All right, they are going to go for double boost, which is very interesting. I guess we will attempt to contest it, but we're probably not going to go like super deep into it. We'll probably let the boom grenade hit at some point, but we'll make them work for it, I guess. They don't really have any disruption, so we should be fine blocking a little bit early. All right, going for Spark. Maybe to get, was that recursion one? The, oh, they're just getting a boom grenade. Interesting. I was thinking they would get backup protocol. That's the card I was thinking of. All right, seems like they also managed to get another boom grenade out. Is that off the top? Oh no, they spark genius for it, right? Definitely a little bit scary. Drawing a lot of cards, or playing another Spark Cerebellum is also quite scary. A lot of bad things going on for us here. But we are at 40, so we got a little bit of breathing room, I think. And we're also sitting in race face next turn, so it could be pretty alright for us. Definitely depends what they got going on over there. Alright, following up with a heist. They have pounders in here, so we like kind of have to commit to blocks here, which is not ideal. Kind of feel like giving up Shuko maybe and just holding on to the blue so that we can go like Adachi plus a race face, because we need to reclaim some of it's like some tempo with the double Cerebellums out, I think. And I do want to deny Techno Pounder obviously going into play. Alright, another Cerebellum. Pretty gross turn from them. Alright, so there's the max V as we kind of expected. So yeah, we're gonna take 17 here. Sounds about right. So go to 23. Life totals are definitely a little bit more even, but this is like a very substantial kind of high roll for them, I feel like. So the question is, do we want to pull Tunic to send in for 6, or do we want the Erase Face coming in for 7? Does it matter? Because they do have just like Crown plus that. I feel like the 6 breakpoint doesn't matter as much. I mean, there's no way they let this hit in the first place, right? Might as well just like sneak in the extra damage and use their Tunic counter. I think it only matters if they have a 2-block, but I feel like most cards in a dash deck just block 3 anyways, unless they have like items or whatever. Yeah, so like if we pump in for 7, it doesn't matter here. Might as well like threaten a little bit extra damage. Alright, and they're finally out of armor, so hopefully our next disruption gets a little bit better. Alright, looks like they also had a null time zone on top. Very cool. Alright, let's see what they name here. A lot less bad for us than it is in Zen for us, which is kind of cool. Alright, choosing Flick Flack definitely makes sense. We are only running 3 Flick Flacks, so it's not really the end of the world here. And we also just have Shelter, which is good. So they already played off the top, so there's no real reason to try to block this. We could have Warmongers too, which is also kind of spicy. I guess we'll take the 4 here and see what they do, because we're not at risk of being like boom grenaded or anything. It's possible they like play out an item afterwards or whatever. And then if they just leave us to do nothing, then we can do like E-Strike Bogan, but it seems like they're going to commit to something more here. I do definitely maybe want to hold on to Warmongers and like Arsenal Shelter if I can. Right, banishing with the Monocle seems good. Right, bottoming some more cards, banishing a backup protocol. So maybe just looking for a 4 breakpoint on that. Kind of makes sense. I think we'll just go ahead and commit some blocks here. There's no like real reason to block here other than just save a little life total and then try to set up a Warmongers, which might not do that much against them. It's probably not terrible though. They probably still have like a decent number of non-attacks still left. And also prevents like Foundry Heart and stuff like that. Alright, so here we have an interesting choice. We can either double block here, set up D-React, or we can double block, set up D-React, or we can D-React plus Pouncing Paws, play Warmongers. I don't think the Warmongers is like doing all that much though, so I feel like I'd rather just like commit to blocks. Then we can just Arsenal Shelter for a later turn. This is also their last like Cerebellum turn, so we're kind of fine here. I guess they get to like choose what they're drawing off Cerebellum, which is kind of cool. So yeah, Cerebellums are out of the way, null time zone going away. Like, if we draw a Flick Flack, it's probably not even the end of the world because we just set up for Arsenal for next turn. And we're basically going to just force them to try to kill us, because they are getting pretty low on deck here, I think. All right, playing out or activating your backup protocol makes sense. Maybe playing an item off the top as well with the one floating. We'll see. Curious what they get back. I don't know if they can max V without like a core out. They could. It's definitely a possibility. But it definitely seems like kind of a big ask. How many boom grenades are out of the way too? All right, they're gonna grab 0 to 60. Sounds good to me. No real reason to do anything here. All right, and basically blocks 12, and then we got the D-React as insurance. So I think we're still looking pretty good here. All right, 0 to 60 coming in. How do we want to do this? We do have the sigil, so we could do like the bait, or we do like Kadachi mauling, and then hold back sigil or whatever. So I think we'll say no blocks on this and see what they do. So if they don't do anything, what do we do? Maybe just take 4 then. Save it for on hits, ideally. All right, playing on another one, we might as well probably just use it up at this point then. Don't want to take too much damage. And like, seems pretty likely that if they had a boom grenade at this point, they would have probably played it. So we'll go for the shelter. All right, Zipper hit as well. Banishing Polarity Reversal Script. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a card I've actually seen like a little bit of. It's definitely very interesting. This might be another max fee as well. If it is, it's not the end of the world, I guess. Just take a little bit more damage. I guess I'll take another like 4 or whatever. Which will be bad, but not the end of the world, I guess. All right, Optical Monocle. Let's see what they got. Hoping their turn ends at some point here. Although it does feel like we're getting max speed again somewhat. How many max speeds have we seen? We've seen 1. I think they pitched 1 as well. So yeah, max speed is definitely, they probably have at least another one, if not 2. How many max speeds does Dash.io run? It seems like, yeah, it seems like they're gonna go for it. Okay, let's go ahead and just block 6 and then just Arsenal Sigil, I guess, here. Yeah, no real reason to do anything crazy here. Go ahead and just block as much as we can because fatigue is definitely becoming a very real kind of win con here. They have 1 more max V to go, and then they also do just have like the recursion for it as well. They have the backup protocols somewhere. See how many backups they use. They use 2 of them so far, so they got 1 more. So I think those are kind of like the biggest threats that I'm worried about. We have wax on, wax off though, so that's pretty nice. If we can get that to line up, that'll be really sweet. Like hopefully they do like Fast and Furious. I guess they've already used all 3 of them, which is kind of funny. Maybe do like 0 to 60 or whatever. There are plenty of 0 costs actually for wax on to hit. Like Expedite is an excellent example. So let's go ahead and block that one out. A lot of blocking in this deck. But yeah, they're very close to running out of cards here. All right, this is why we saved our Pouncing Paws. So go ahead and just throw those in front. No real reason to commit the wax off here because we can also just use it to like CNC or whatever. Then finishing on Symbiosis, they have 1 other card left. Could just Zen State here. But then it becomes like a little bit awkward. Zen State's like tempting. They have 1 more action point after this though, which is like, they haven't triple boosted though. So I feel like we're safe from another max fee potentially. Definitely worth thinking about for a second here. I feel like sending CNC at them might be better than Zen State. But maybe it's wrong if they're like 28. They're not even guaranteed to set up an arsenal here, I guess. So maybe we'll just pass here and Zen State anyways. Feels like a little bit wrong. But it's probably still correct. Like, I think our win con's not sending damage here. Like, they can eat a CNC and probably still be in like a fine spot. Sure, so yeah, ending on item here does make sense. We can also just pull Tunic and send CNC at them, and that will still kind of accomplish the same result. I think that's correct. I think our other option was Arsenal Shelter, but like, I think that's also semi-reasonable. I don't know. All right, so looks like their null time zone is gone. Also, their Teklo core is gone, so our Flick Black is finally safe. And yep, seems like blocking is going to be on the agenda here. Or I guess no blocking is going to be on the agenda. We'll just gain 6, and then they'll be really upset about that. Yeah, sure. Gain 6. Send in Whelming Gust Wave. Sure, it's fine. They're still basically out of cards here. I guess we could have like used Pouncing Paws, but it doesn't really do anything, right? I draw a Pouncing Key, that's fine. Good combo for Flick Flack at least. Ooh, double Flick is very, very nice. So we'll see if we can space him out here a little bit, but we do have, what is this, 18 block in our hand? Kind of disgusting. Flick Flack is like a messed up card, by the way. Like, this card is kind of wild that this is like a ninja card as opposed to like, I don't know, like a guardian card or whatever. Kind of wild. All right, 0 to 60 presents a very good opportunity to Flick Flack here, so I think we'll go for it. Yeah, they do still have a max V live, which is definitely concerning. But I think most of their boom grenades are gone at this point. Let's do a quick count. We have 4 here, 1 here, so they have 1 more, I think. Which makes sense. Is a red one or yellow one? We have 2 reds here, 2 yellows, and then 1 red here, so they might have 1 more yellow. All right, let's go ahead and reveal 1-2 punch and Sigil Solace, and then block with the 1-2 punch. Nice, efficient coverage here. We might not even use the Flick Back this turn. I guess it depends on what they do. But we might just block with like Constant Key, play Sigil, or whatever. All right, activating Technical Foundry Heart once again. Seems good. We might also save the Flick Black for like Convection Amplifier. Ooh, playing out Cerebellum also very nice. So yeah, it feels like we're definitely going to see that last Max V here, unless I missed it somewhere. No Max V's in here, and then we have 1, 2. Yeah, so it seems like we're still missing 1. Although, again, I've not been keeping up to date with Dash, so they could just be on 2. Entirely possible. I don't know what a Dash deck looks like at this point. I know like the core cards, but like stuff like Max V is definitely a little bit of a question mark to me. I feel like you maybe just run 3 is my guess, but who knows. Right, Convection. So I assume this is the Max V coming in. Or maybe not yet. So I guess we'll go ahead and like contest it. So I have 2 floating, they're guys in the Max V. We take 5 plus 3, go to 6. And yeah, I think that does make sense. And then we just Arsenal Sigil or whatever. Don't need to play out Sigil like right away. But we'll go ahead and just like fight for it here. The Flick Flacks this turn were just like really, really nuts actually. Alright, there's Goliath, so we're taking 2 extra damage. Seems pretty good. So block 5, take 7, take 3, so we go 2. And then we still have like our Mask Momentum or whatever, and they don't have any action. Like, I think they're pretty much out of gas here. But they definitely have like a lot of scary Max V turns. So we go to 4. Oh, we're not. I thought we were at 2. It seems like they're maybe off of it from there. So let's see what they're at. They had 3 blue and yellow 0 to 60s, and then a Zipper Hit and a Pulse Wave here. So like they have like a pretty good lineup here. I feel like our deck is just like maybe too defensive for them to deal with. And the Wax On, Wax Off was like, okay, they're nothing crazy, but the Flick Flacks are always just kind of insane into Dio. So pretty good matchup. Definitely feels a lot better than Zen, for instance, just because like Null Time Zone just like completely hoses Zen. But yeah, Ira, I feel like doesn't get hosed by Null Time Zone in quite the same way. All right, well, that was a cool game. Let's see if we can get another. All right, we got a Slippy. So how do we want to board into Slippy? That's a good question. So we don't want our weakest links, obviously. I've heard like something about Erase Face into Slippy. I'm not 100%. I think we just probably want all our reacts at this point. Very heavy react package matchups. I guess we could also fat deck a little bit, but it's probably not super necessary. Like, what could we get rid of here? Maybe like Scars kind of mid. And then we can maybe keep like our looking for scraps and like our cut throughs and stuff. That seems like kind of okay. Let's give it a shot like this. I think like Scars maybe our weakest card, but like everything else seems like pretty decent. I was thinking about Quick Dodge also, but also kind of doesn't seem necessary. Alright, so we don't really have a way to turn on looking for scraps. I'm kind of okay blocking with it here. If we had like a blue that we can block with, I would want to keep it a little bit more. But probably not necessary here. Right, there is Kiss of Death. Are we double blocking this? I feel like we might be double blocking this. It's pretty likely to have React, and then if they have another stealth card, we just throw this in front of it. Seems like they're also fat decking slightly. So now the question is, do we want to keep the CNC in hand and let them have the first mark? I think that could be fine. Seems like they're going to maybe go for the mark anyways. Oh, they're going to flick the Kiss of Death, right? That makes sense. Seems good to me. So I'll take 3 here and then just get to hold on to the CNC, which I think is pretty powerful. If they play something else, we can just throw the CNC in front of it. If they had Codex there, that would be kind of funny. They get Kiss of Death back, and then we just like get a random card back. I guess that's probably bad, right? All right, what do we want to do here? So this hand's obviously not ideal. But we can just like send CNC at them. Could also like pitch Flick Flack, send E-Strike, but I feel like CNC is just better. Then we'll Arsenal Wax on in case we get to line it up. His Send State's like pretty good against both the Arachnes, I think. If we can like strand them with reacts or something, I think we're also quite happy with that. So go ahead and sit on Wax on. All right, we do find the Wax off. Ooh, Backstab is very, very strong on this hand, though. That is a pretty good react, or a pretty good attack there, rather. Yeah, so this hand, unfortunately, does not do a ton. Yeah, that's pretty solid. Could have maybe opted to, like, throw this in front of it or whatever. Curious if they're going to transform here. They might just go for 6. Okay, that's, like, kind of greedy, honestly. It's, like, a little bit greedy. I think we will just, like, make Zen State here still. We can even, like, Warmongers them, which is kind of funny. Be like, do Kadachi Warmongers just set up for next turn. Seems alright. Warmongers notably doesn't do, like, a ton against Arakni, but, like, they could be running some stuff like Toxicity or whatever. So it might not be terrible. But yeah, that backstab was actually really good until they turned into something else. I feel like they probably should have just left it as a backstab there. Because, like, I didn't block it, right? Just get 6 guaranteed damage versus letting me, like, filter. Alright, go ahead and play out the Warmongers. We will obviously choose War here. And they will agree with me as well. Arsenal React. Okay, and this might give us the opportunity to do, like, the sigil trick here. See if they fall for it, though. Alright, it's coming in with an Infiltrate. So notably Zen State doesn't do, like, a ton here. Could just, like, let them have this. But, like, our deck is, like, actually kind of good. So maybe we'll just block with, like, Constant Key here. I think that seems fine. So we'll lose a little bit of value on that Zen State, but they're still not getting, like, flick value. Alright, we can go ahead and take a dagger here. I think that's also a-okay. They go for pump on the dagger. We have React still. So things are, I think, are still pretty alright. Right, and there's the leave no, so we'll go ahead and just cover this up. And I think no real need to filter here. Just pass. And our turn we'll do Kadachi Monkey, have this card stranded or like stuck in hand theoretically, and they might not go for a block. We'll see though. It might also just block with like black text here. It seems like they're gonna give us shelter, which does make sense. So they'll get the full 3 value here and also deny the mass trigger. But this is still fine. We get to set up Sigil, which is like still pretty good into assassins in general. Right, seems like they have double shelter, pretty efficient there. So again, just Arsenal Sigil here, pass back. All right, not really a dual threat hand here. Feels a lot more like a blocking hand than anything. So yeah, like we could do dual threat, like we could like Kadachi pop Tiger, dual threat Kadachi 1-2 punch, but it's like so weak. I think I'm just gonna like give them some more blocks. If they react, I'll just react back. Probably actually should have responded to that in case they get backstab. Alright, seems like they're just gonna get an infiltrate, which I think I'll just react. Do we want to try to like Arsenal dual threat? Could be good. Guess we'll see what they do. Alright, seems like they're just gonna move to end. I think I'll just go for the double Kadachi, Sigil, pass back. Definitely one of those Ira hands that kind of like didn't do anything. Which means Zen also has like those hands that don't really do a ton. Right, yep, we'll close the comment chain and then Arsenal dual threat here. Oh boy, this deck is not cooperating quite very well with me. All right, what do we want to do? I guess we have Tunic, so we could like pitch, wax on, do some stuff, but like I feel like blocking is also just like pretty good. Oh, we also shouldn't be blocking Kiss of Death, by the way. That's like a notable thing with Kiss of Death and Torrential Toxin. Yeah, I kind of called that a little bit. Yeah, notably not super great to try to block Kiss of Death here. So it kind of gave them like 3 extra value for free, which is not super ideal. All right, pick up the point. That's fine. See what they got. We could theoretically resolve. Could theoretically resolve a dual threat if we do Kadachi. Kadachi cut. We have to have the one of the Kadachi's hit is the problem. How likely is that? It's like semi likely, but that is like very suspect. All right, we'll go ahead and get the pouncing paws value here, which is at least a little bit nice. Glad they didn't have react there because that might have been. I guess we had like reds in hand, which like might have influenced it, but could definitely be a blowout if they hit there. All right, seems like they might let this hit. Oh, if they let this hit, we're in business. Okay, that is very good for me. All right, we'll go for the cut through next. So actually, a really solid dual threat turn. We do go off an Arsenal, but it's like kind of fine. They only have Leave No so far. So if they had CNC, I feel like it would be a lot worse. All right, they're going to go for Sync. Makes sense. All right, go for the dual threat, and then pull Tunic to Kadachi, because we have the wax on, it does get going, so that's nice, and then we can finish on another cut through. Pretty efficient turn here. I was thinking about also going for like more of a Flick Ira, but from what I've been seeing, like that's not a very popular build right now. I can kind of understand why. It's just a lot more 2 blocks, which is kind of like counterintuitive to what Ira wants to do. Oh, this is hit with a dagger, this combat chain. That's also interesting. I didn't know that. So if you like close chain, you can't actually get the going on this. That's kind of a interesting thing to note. Right, pretty. Yeah, this hand's like kind of whatever, but probably plays at least. All right, this does kind of feel like Codex. So I think we'll just let this hit. If it's not Codex, will look a little bit stupid, but it's probably fine. Yeah, it does definitely feel like a Codex. All right, so think we're just gonna grab a CNC here, which kind of like actually fixes our hand, which is kind of nice. And then we can just go ahead and like dagger CNC, which will pump it back up to 6. So I'm kind of like actually okay with this, I think. Us getting a CNC back, even if it's under like a frailty, is like still pretty decent, I think. All right, go ahead and send it. All right, seems like they're going to use their crown up here. Makes sense. I don't think there's much better to get other than CNC, right? CNC is still pretty good. At least force the crown out, which is nice. We're still a little bit ahead on life. Although definitely not in like the clear yet, I think. Wax on is a nice find though. Alright, coming in with the infect. So the question is, how big is this going to get? They've used 2 take up the mantles. They don't have a Bonza bag in yard yet, so that's at least nice for us. I think we will try to block this, but I'm not going to like overcommit. I think we'll just block this, and if they go for a pump, we'll wax on. Alright, yeah, I think we'll be okay to commit wax on here. Make them work for it. Alright, seems like they have toxin, so they will get the double blood on us, which is like fine. Not ideal, obviously, but we're not going to like overblock to get blown out here. Alright, finishing on the Libno. Libno is definitely like pretty good. So I guess the question I have is it worth going for Kadachi looking for, or like Kadachi looking for scrap, banishing pouncing key. We could do that, or we have the option of just like blocking here, and then if they draw into like reacts or whatever, which they are running like some number of reacts here, that could be good to block out. We'll take 4, go to 23 all. I think blocking out here does kind of make sense. Just saves a bit of value, and like our hand's like nothing incredible. I want to force them to do something here, basically. All right, dagger is fine. Again, no reason to ever block these stupid daggers. All right, following up with the Mark of the Black Widow. That's like kind of okay. I guess, so they're not like the other Arakni, so we might as well try to throw something in front of it. If we don't get to throw something in front of it, then what do we do, I guess? Could be correct to just not try to fight for this and just let them have it. Because, like, very likely it's going to be a 3 pump, and we don't really have, like, an efficient way to do that because of wax off. I'd give 5 here, but that also seems kind of like over committing. I feel like maybe just giving them 3 here is fine, and then if they want to hit with it, I guess we just like give them sigil or whatever. Could be okay. Alright, so they will go through for the shred here. Definitely maybe regarding blocking a little bit, but I think this is still fine. So I guess either discard the sensor or discard the sigil, which is better. If they have Codex, which is better. Doesn't really matter because we can just give up Shuko or whatever. Still have 2 more Codexes left. I think we'll give up Sensor. We still have the cut through that we can use. So it's not the end of the world if we say like go for Codex or whatever. Alright, seems like no Codex. So I think we'll just go for like a cut through turn here. Do dagger, cut through. Pretty likely to hit with at least one of these daggers. Then we can maybe pull off the sigil trick again if they fall for it. Seems like they're at least going to let us have it here, which is nice. And then they might think that this is just a random draw off the top, which is, I mean, it is ultimately a random draw off the top, but we at least get to have the sigil, which maybe we like are able to cash in some value off a red, which is nice. feel like Mask is not as good as in Ira just because you're running a bunch of like baubles basically, which make it a lot less appealing. I'm very happy to get 2 cards out of them though. I will gladly take a CNC and a backstab. So yeah, we'll go ahead and close Combat Chain here and then Arsenal Sigil. Save it for a future turn. They might go for CNC themselves and then we just like blow them out. Right, Kiss of Death. So do they have another Toxin? Something we have to be a little bit cautious about. So they have one more Toxin left, I think. Is it still fine to try to block it? Maybe. They don't have the third Tarantula Toxin, right? Alright, just Razor's Edge. We can kind of deal with that. So if it's just Razor's Edge, how do we want to block? Maybe we don't even block this. We can do like Dagger, CNC, that. And if they go for Codex, then we just block with Wax On and then still get to center turn. I think that's fine. Take 4 here, but it's not the end of the world. They have to have another thing, and then they can like flick and do something. Alright, so they're probably just going to isolate and then flick the dagger. So it'll put us down to 3, basically. And then we just get to send a really nice turn. Although CNC is like not even that good. It's like fine still, though. And we have a little bit of life buffer. Still have one more sigil left in the deck, so we're functionally at like 18 or whatever. So we're still setting CNC just because it's efficient damage here. But it definitely does feel a little bit bad. I think we might even just weave in the other Kodachi. If I didn't really think about Tunic counter coming up, but one thing we could have done is actually just like use the Wax On there. Because like now we're not really like drawing towards, like we're not really threatening the mass draw as much anymore. I guess they block it out anyways. It is worth like thinking about in case they do like make a mistake though. Alright, go ahead and send the CNC here, which might just be no blocks because obviously they don't have an arsenal. But I think we're still in a pretty decent spot this game. We have a lot of armor left and we still are sitting on React, which is nice. Alright, another Ira hand here. Yuck. Yeah, I feel like this is kind of what's not been super enthusiastic, or what's not been like super enthusing me about playing this deck is just hands like these. Alright, they're gonna go for Clave, makes sense. So no reason to react or anything here. Alright, pick up the points plus Tunic. Alright, 5-back Dagger makes sense as well. Gotta just give blocks here. It's not really any real reason to send like a 1 cost at them. Alright, Art is our mind, or body. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and shelter this. I feel like Wax On is basically almost always on against them, so it's like kind of fine. We'll just do Dagger Dagger. Alright, looks like they are going to commit blocks here, which I am a-okay with. Go ahead and close chain, pass back. Alright, this hand's a little bit more salvageable. Especially in the face of a Bonds of Agony. So they have Black Text plus Flick Knives up, so it's pretty likely that this does end up getting pumped. So I feel like we actually are supposed to like block 6 here, and then like I don't think they can pump it past 10, right? So they get +4 from this. How many Justin X do they have left? I think they've been pitching a couple of them. They have used, or they blocked with one, I think. They pitched one like semi recently. I don't know if they come back around to it though. So if it's just Nick plus that, then it's like 9. If it's double react from hand, obviously it gets a lot worse. But it's maybe like still okay. Yeah, we'll go ahead and commit 6 here. We're not really doing anything with these cards anyways. They want to follow up into like a CNC, we can block that as well. Alright, do we care about Infiltrate? Not really. They'll just go ahead and see what they do. If they want to pump this, I will Wax On. But if they don't pump, I feel like I'm not really incentivized to. Yeah, we'll take 3. Sure, get a whelming Gustway. That's fine. We'll go for Kadachi Kadachi. Debating if I want to use the pouncing paws yet. How many of our dual threats have we seen? We've seen, I think, just the one, right? So I think we still have 2 left, which is kind of what you want to say pouncing paws for, if I understand correctly. We could use it to cash in like 1 extra damage here, but I don't think that's worth it. Alright, seems like they're just going to commit some blocks here. Still, I think are in pretty okay shape. Just barring like a crazy like Bonds Magazine turn or something. But even then, we still kind of have the answer for that. Alright, this hand definitely needs a little bit of fixing with this Sink Blow if we can, but unfortunately they do have a Command and Conquer here, which is going to be really good. So in that case, we do have the option to like block with armor here if we want to. But we are coming up on Tunic. We block 7 here. Block 7, pitch Sink Below, send Sound the Alarm up Tunic, play Sigil. Because like Mask isn't like doing anything realistically at this point in the game, right? I think that's like kind of okay. Just use our resources kind of efficiently here. It's not super efficient to obviously pitch a Sink Below, but like I think if we can send a 2-card 7, or it's like a 3-card 7, I guess. It's like pseudo 2-card 7. All right, take a peek at their hands. Ooh, we do get a tutor target, so that means we're also going to be able to get Wax off on top. It's quite nice. So what did they have again? They had a Leave No Witnesses, Orb-Weaver Spinneret, a Spike with Blood Rot, and a Persuasive. Okay, so we're basically like safe from that, I think, depending on what their arsenal is. But we'll still just get the Wax off because it's good value. And we're sitting on the other Wax on, and they don't have CNC, presumably. They've used 2, and then they just pitched 1. All right, go ahead and use the Sigil up. Go to 14, to their 5. So we're still definitely in pretty good shape here. Feeling a lot more confident now, I think. All right, there's the Persuasive. They blocked with the Spike with Blood Rot, which means that this is... So we haven't seen the Codex either. We're missing 2 Codexes, which is definitely concerning. I think we'll just say no blocks to this then. And maybe just wax it on. And then if they Codex us, what do we do? I don't know. I think he's still probably right to wax this on. The Codex is definitely not ideal. They might go for a hit on this. This actually might be an opportunity to use Tunic and then wax off this so we get the full coverage in case they're trying to go for black text in the Codex. I think that makes the most amount of sense. Go ahead and just preserve life total here, and Tunic's probably not going to come online anytime soon. All right, there's Shred, which is also like kind of fine. I guess the question is like, do we want to try to fight for that with Flick Flack, or do we want to just sit on Flick Flack? I feel like we'd rather just sit on Flick Flack, right? So we'll take the 1 banish. It's probably just going to banish a blue or whatever. Yeah. Kind of tracks. We definitely are getting, I think, a little bit lucky on the banishes, but I feel like we've also been playing it pretty okay. We're both kind of getting low on deck here. All right, we'll go ahead and banish. Don't think it matters here, but Pouncing Key, sure, why not? Pretend we're Zen. Send a nice 2-card 8 Arsenal Fleck. This deck is definitely like a little bit kind of on the more boring end. Just a lot of good numbers. Don't know if this is a good content deck is the problem. This might be a good like tournament deck-ish. I'm still kind of curious how the Aurora matchup is. It might be kind of bad from what I understand. But it still seems like it's like an okay deck that you could probably do well with. All right, a lot of reacts here still. Definitely looking to like maybe cut some of these reacts. Okay, Hunter's Clave coming in. We have Zen State, so we don't really care. I guess this maybe is a dual threat turn. It's like a pretty bad dual threat turn. Alright, there's Codex, sure. So it looks like they're just kind of drawing some very red heavy hands, so they're not able to get the CNC value here, which is definitely good for us. So we'll go ahead and just cover with Flick Flack here. Unfortunately, our Kodachis are not going to be coming in for anything next turn. Like, dual threat can still kind of do something, right? Ish. So how would we dual threat if we wanted to? We can Kodachi for 0, then we play out Tiger, Kodachi, then play out Pouncing Key, which means that we'd get 1 value on the Tiger, which is like okay, and then we get 4, or we get 3 and then 3 or whatever. Not crazy about that. Might still be worth it though, just like pressure some cards out of hand, because we do have the tempo. And I'm kind of like concerned about like just running into very bricky hands at this point. So yeah, maybe we are actually kind of priced into doing it. We have to like double pitch our reacts though, which feels pretty bad. No, I don't think we're gonna do it. Let's just overpitch, I think, a little bit here. Then we just play the pouncing key. Right, give us their tunic. Play that out. Still fine, I think. Alright, E-Strike is definitely a good card for kind of preserving deck total, at least. Alright, so we still have that Codex we also have to worry about. We have 1 more Codex, some other good stuff. I think we're just continuing to block here. They have the Flick Knife, so we should try to block this. Right, so there's Shred. So they are going to try to go for ripping a card out of our hand. Just fine. Do we let them have a card from our hand? Could definitely be okay. But it could also just be getting Codexed, which feels bad. Like, if they Codex and they have CNC, then, like, saving this React is kind of pointless, almost. I guess it's still, like, somewhat acceptable. Alright, maybe we just just let them have the wax off here. See what they got. Alright, pick up the points. Makes sense. Oh, they're not going to pay into it. Very interesting. I do think we just want to sit on this flick for as long as possible. So if they pump this, do we die? Kind of. This block feels weird, but it might still be correct in case they do go for the pump. Because they're still sitting on black text, so I don't want them to like Codex us. We might be playing around to Codex a little bit too hard, but we are getting to the Kodachi lock point. I wonder if it's worth popping Tiger here just so that we can get an extra 1 damage, because we're basically never going to be able to keep like a full hand to do like a dual threat turn. I think it kind of makes sense. It forces them to give us Flick Flack here, and then we can send the Kodachi. Alright, get a Bonds of Agony out of them. Definitely okay. So I think we still have 1 Justinic to worry about. Alright, pretty decent hand. So this hand might just get us there. But yeah, we're going to basically be saying no blocks to the daggers here. Alright, Persuasive is fine. Still want to like save some blocks just for Codex purposes. So I think we'll still just give the dual threat here, because again, we're not going to really use it. Right, there's Razor's Edge. So now the concern is going to be what? The last codex in Arsenal, which it very realistically could be. But if we cover with Flick Flack, then we can cover with Mauling Key and then still just send 2 Godachis and then get an Arsenal. I think that makes sense. So maybe it's fine to actually get Codex here if we have the Flick Flack block. So there's Codex, they get Leave No. We discard E-Strike, and then we get back... What do we want to get back here? Get back Censor, I guess, is like kind of fine. It's kind of surprising how like good the codexes have honestly been for us. I do think it got a little bit dicey there at the end, but like we still, I think, are sending a good amount of damage here. Like we send 1 into 4. I think they're basically out of reacts and stuff at this point, right? So I feel like we've got a decent chance here. I feel like our Kodachi lock might be just a little bit better than theirs. All right, they're going to opt for the shelter here. Definitely interesting. Could just send the full 5 at them. And that way we're not just like wasting that. We're not wasting the 1 on the Kodachi. So now they have to give us 2 extra cards here, which I think is really good for us. So I'm kind of glad they didn't use that react mode. All right, this is probably not anything, but we have Wax on as insurance, so it doesn't really matter. All right, the Kodachi lock has begun, so we basically get to strip 3 cards here, which is really nice. Unless they have another shelter randomly, but I think they've used them all. Not going to waste time checking, though. All right, we have entered the grind here. It's a shame they haven't really been able to use a lot of their like Justinix this game as well. All right, there's Isolate, but again, we don't really mind that, I think. Yep, we'll just go for Wax on here. They want to banish a card. I think that's okay. Hey, is it okay? Yeah, maybe we'll just sink it. They're out of threats at this point. I don't think it really matters. We'll try to filter for something. All right, there's a dual threat which we could theoretically play. I guess we might as well like Arsenal it or whatever. All right, so I think they are officially dead here though. I guess they like play dual threat and then kill them. All right, last card is Sink Blow. Okay, we don't kill them. Unfortunate. But we basically got them here. All right, and that is Ira. Oh, some of the games, really not content games, but they're interesting games. I feel like it's just a lot of like kind of mental fatigue though. Like I feel like I was kind of like catching myself like slipping on a couple turns there, even though like I feel like my macro strategy was good, but just like what is this, a 20 turn game? You just like will eventually make a mistake somewhere. So definitely maybe a deck that's not for my current level of brain fatigue here, but it's definitely like still it's like more fun than I think it looks. But it's definitely just kind of like boring numbers slop for the most part, which I'm not really a fan of. I'm really more so hyped for like the Max Armory deck, but this might be like a decent deck to tide me over in case Zen leaves us early, which is, you know, obviously a very real possibility with 5 events this weekend. Yeah, but thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this boring pile of generics, and yeah, see you all next time. And a special thank you to all the folks who decided it would be a good idea to give us $2 on Patreon. We really appreciate the support, but it's obviously never required.